Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jack Berry, and I'm at the Michigan Golf Show in beautiful Novi, Michigan. And we're here with Bill Shriver from Arcadia Bluffs and Dana Fry, who is one of the top golf course designers in the biz and is also a very, very fine player all the way up from University of Arizona. Well, I guess Kansas City.
Yeah, I grew up in Kansas City.
First, wasn't it? And then off to Tucson and U of A and starred there. We've had some good local players there. Jeff Roth was a player at U of A. So, but we're going to let Bill tell us what Dana is doing here.
Well, Jack, we've got a beautiful new golf course opening up this summer called the South Course, and we're fortunate enough to have Dana come in as a designer, and it's located about 1.5 miles south of the Bluffs course, and I'll let Dana get into the details of the layout, but we're very excited about it. We had a wonderful grow-in season last year for the growing and construction, and we're going to let it mature a little bit more this summer, and then we'll get it open right around August 1st.
Well, terrific. And Dana is accustomed to some of the northern courses. Had a little hand in that one over in Wisconsin, Erin Hills. Tell us about that, Dana.
Well, that was obviously a career highlight because never, when I got into the business, did I ever think I'd have a golf course that I was involved with that would host the United States Open. And it was a dream come true, and it's a very special place to me, obviously.
So what brought you to Michigan for?
Well, I met Rich Postma down in Florida two or 3 or 4 years ago now, when I hosted him to play golf at a course I did in Naples called Calusa Pines. And Rich and some of his friends played with me. We did that for a couple of years, and then a guy that works for Rich named Warren Henderson and runs one of his businesses literally called me up one day and said, "We're going to be working together real soon." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Rich is going to build another course and you're going to do it." And that's how it started. So it's just like, so when I met Rich, it was just a friendship and playing golf, and we got along, and I think he liked Calusa Pines, and through Warren he knew a lot about me personally, so I think he just felt comfortable with me.
Tell us a little bit about the difference between Erin Hills and what you have at the new course. What kind of topography?
Well, Erin Hills was built on sand eskers, stuff built left over from the glaciers, and it is a big piece of property, over 600 acres, and the land was just laying there for golf. I mean, and the vast majority of golf holes, very little earth moving was even done at all. So, but it was heavily treed, at least in spots when we started, and we removed all but about 6 trees. You're going to find that's a common theme with me. I tend to knock a lot of trees down. So I know the superintendents like me. I'm not sure, but anyway, so it was just a very natural piece of land for golf, and and it's such a big scale. And the setting, it was perfect to have a national tournament on because it can host unbelievably large crowds.
Well, you see aerials of it, and you can see all the trees out around it. And yeah, right. So,
and then when it got really hot during the U.S. Open, I didn't think it would be that hot that early in June. There was like 6 trees, and every one of those trees was just loaded with people trying to get shade. But the site at Arcadia, the South Course at Arcadia Bluffs, when I first walked on the property, I was with Rich and Warren, the 3 of us. I can't remember if you were there, Bill. Okay. And we went up to the area, which is now the 3rd hole, which is the highest point of the property. And the site sits on 311 acres. And we were on the very north side of the property, which is the high point. And a lot of trees were up in there at that time, but you could still get in areas where you could see out way to the south, the whole for, a couple thousand yards where the golf course property was. And I don't even know why it came to my mind, but I just asked Rich at the time, I said, have you ever heard of Chicago Golf Club? And he said, yes, he had. And I asked him what he thought about it, and he asked what I thought about it. And I said, it's one of my all-time favorites. And it's most architects in their top 10. And most tour players would tell you it's one of the greatest courses in the world. It's loved. It was built back in the 1890s by C.B. McDonald and redesigned by, renovated by Seth Rayner in the 20s. And I said, you know, if we cleared these trees, I think we could really do a Chicago, a course that looked and felt like that old school, like Chicago golf was. But Morehouse, McDonald, and Rayner built all their golf courses where they look very simple when they're done, like they've always been there, and it just becomes this great walk in the park. And I think, and I think that resonated with Rich, and unbeknownst to me, and I didn't find this out for almost a year, Rich had felt the same way. He felt Chicago, that style of golf would fit out there. And again, I can't stress enough how we didn't copy anything at Chicago Golf Club. There's no copying of any holes. That wasn't the intent. The intent was to recreate the feel that they have at these great old clubs like Fisher's Island and Piping Rock and the Creek Club and the National Golf Links. You could go on. Blue Mound over in Milwaukee. That were all McDonald and Rayner golf courses, and we wanted to recreate that feeling for people, because I know that, you know, I know from being at the booth now for 2 days that when you start talking, you know, straight lines, flat bottom bunkers that cut diagonally out across the fairway, the large greens that average 9,400 square feet, and a lot of the straight lines that we have, people, they like, you have to explain to them that this isn't something new. This is something really old. And I think with the success of the first course at Arcadia Bluffs, which I've heard at least 100 people tell me it's their favorite place to go in Michigan here in the last 2 days, Rich knew that because this course is not on the water, it's inland, about a little less than a mile. We had to have a course that was really unique and could stand on its own. And I think that's where doing something totally different, like the South Course at Arcadia Bluffs, I really applaud Rich for taking the chance. And I think it's going to be wildly successful, because I think people are going to love it, especially when they understand that it's not a new thing and it's not a gimmick. This is old school architecture taken to the highest degree that we could do it.
Well, the old school, they didn't do everything with computers and aerials and stuff like that. They kind of walked them.
No, they did. They sure did. Well, you know, my background is I worked for Tom Fazio. I started at Ventana Canyon in 1983 in Tucson, and you know, I was taught to build golf courses in the field. And I ran a bulldozer, and I shaped golf courses for 5 years, and I shaped 16 courses for Tom, and you know, like Black Diamond and Lake Nona and Wade Hampton and Barton Creek, and you know, and I learned then that you had to be in the field.
You got dirt under your fingers.
I got dirt under my fingers. That's right. And you know, and I can tell you, I was up almost every week throughout the year. I think one of the only weeks I missed was during the Open, but other than that, I was there almost every week, and I was just taught that to build great golf, you have to really be on site.
Yeah, and I can attest to that, to Dana's point about being on property, because when Dana came in, 3 days, 3 weeks out of the month, basically, so, you know, 10, 12 days a month, we never saw him. If you wanted to find Dana, you went out and found him, and he was covered in dirt, you couldn't find him. So, and just listening to him talk to people in the booth the last 2 days, I mean, he knows every inch of the property. And I don't think a lot of architects are like that. I mean, he can tell you anything you want to know about every inch, so there's no doubt. He was there, he was in the middle of it, and everything went through him. It was really good.
What's the reaction been like from your regulars at Arcadia Bluffs?
Extremely positive, and people are excited to see it. And if 30,000 people come through this show this weekend and we see half of them, I could probably count less than 5 that have said, oh, I didn't know you were building a new golf course. Everybody knows a new golf course is coming, and they really know it's coming to Arcadia Bluffs. And so we've got our fingers crossed, but we think it's going to be a wild success.
Do you have any lodging at this course?
Not yet. No, there's nothing planned for that, because we just opened the new lodge last year. So we've got over 55 rooms now at the main property, and it's only a mile and a half down the road. So, of course, we'll offer shuttle service back and forth. And, so we're good.
Good. So you're pretty happy now?
Yeah, I'm real happy. I'm excited, too, because, again, Again, I've been doing this for 34 years, and I've never done a golf course not even remotely like this. So it was a big learning experience as well for me. I mean, I'd been to Chicago Golf Club a few times, and I've been to all the great McDonald Rayner golf courses, frankly, in this country. But that's the first time I really went and studied that look and that feel and the quaintness that they have. And you can understand why when you're walking around, it becomes an experience. You're not just hitting a golf ball. Part of the experience at the other course, the original course at Arcadia Bluffs, is the experience is just overwhelming. Right. And a lot of it's because the setting is so spectacular, not only from the clubhouse, but from almost every golf hole. The view out at the lake is just mesmerizing. And people, they're just not used to that. And, here we didn't have a lake, so you have to do something. And I really... It's like when you get older, you say how you realize your parents were smarter. Well, the older I'm getting here now, even in the last few years, you realize, I think what a smart decision Rich made, because he really has built something nobody has done, ever, in the last 80, 90 years. And to that extreme, and I'm real excited to see how everybody thinks about it.
Well, it's funny, like McDonald and Rayner, with as great as they were, people don't understand that now. They don't, because they don't tours events are not held on their golf course.
It's correct on most cases because the yardages aren't long enough, and a lot of their golf courses also, they had some pretty dramatic contouring in them, and cut at today's tour speeds, they'd be, in some cases, they just wouldn't work.
Yeah. So how about your greens at the new course?
Well, they're again, they average 9,400 square feet, which are by far the largest greens I've ever built, and some of the largest in the country. What will happen? You can, no matter where you are on the green, as long as you're on the putting surface, you'll be able to putt to a pin. But there may be some cases where you have a 10 or 15 foot break. If you hit it 125 feet from the hole, you're on the green, but you might have 15 feet of break. And I think what's going to happen, I think people's fairways hit is going to go up on this, because the wide fairways averaging 55 to 60 yards wide. We have about 18 to 20 yards of rough on each side of the hole. So you start putting all that together, and now you're looking at like 85 to 90 yards of irrigated cut grass. So wide playing areas, which creates different angles for the shots going into the greens, which is what we like. And then it's just, can they hit the right part of that green? Because if you can't, that's when the challenge will come.
Can you bump and run it on, or what?
Every hole.
Every hole? Great.
There's no lakes. There's no water on this golf.
Wonderful. I love that.
And you can run it on at least half of every green is completely open, if not more. In some cases, the whole entire green is open. You can run it on.
I played a lot of links courses in Ireland, and that's what I love. There's no cross hazard in front of the green or anything like that. You play bump and run, you pitch it on, and everything else. It just makes it a lot more fun.
The bunkers are on the sides. There is some cases where it might block a back left pin or a back right pin, but in most cases you can run it on the majority of the green.
This sounds terrific.
I think the other thing they're going to like is it's also that another prediction I have here. I think when this is done, and especially when you get into next year when the native areas mature, I think they may very well have the best conditioned course in the state. And I say that because of the soil conditions are phenomenal. The whole course is like a putting green. The sand is of that quality. So when we're done, what does that mean? Well, it means great optimum for growing lean turf grasses where they can get it real fast and firm, and the ball can really roll and scoot. So you can hit. My guess would be people will be hitting longer drives than they're used to in some cases, because the ball is going to really roll. So I think that's another added element that it's going to have to it that is going to be
It seems like every architect or designer who's come to Michigan from someplace else, they love the land here. They love the soil and
you can count me. I'm one of those guys now.
Well, I know that the land prior to the golf course, part of it was orchard, part of it was grown wheat, So the farmers knew what they were doing, farming where they were. So, and then obviously Dana deserves the credit that he's getting, but someone who was kind of in the background who we don't talk a lot about is Warren Henderson. And Warren served as the project manager, and of course was the lead. He and Rick Smith together on Arcadia Bluffs, but was the lead there. So Warren's input shouldn't be overlooked, but he likes to stay in the background and be quiet. But I just wanted to say Warren did a great job and still does to this day, and he'll see it through, next summer through the final grow-in.
Well, you must be very excited about this.
We are, Jack. Thank you. And it's like everything else we do at Arcadia. We want to do it as best we can, and we want it to grow the brand. But more importantly, the whole point is that it's a great experience. That it's the whole guest experience now with the lodging, 2 golf courses. Of course, the dining is world class. And people say, is it going to be as good as the Bluffs course? Well, there's only one Arcadia Bluffs, Bluffs. So I think the South course will stand on its own for sure.
Terrific. Well, it'll be nice to have Michigan getting some more notice nationally from Wisconsin, for crying out loud, has been getting a lot of ink, and we figure that we're the best, and you're helping to keep it that way.
Well, this in our particular profession and the people that really go out and evaluate golf courses, this one's going to get a lot of notice because it is really different. It's stepping outside the normal boundaries, so it's going to get a lot of talk, and it's going to have a lot of buzz about it, which you can already see here at this show.
Oh, congratulations. It sounds wonderful. I'll really be anxious to see the finished product. So we've been talking with Dana Fry, who is the golf course architect for the new course, the South course at Arcadia Bluffs. It's on the right side of the road. The original course is over on the left side of the road, on the lake side. And with Bill Shriver, who's general manager and the head guy at Arcadia Bluffs, and I might add, a heck of a runner. How many marathons now?
I've run 26.
Okay. He's a man.
That doesn't mean I'm fast, Jack.
He's a man, but you get things done.
Gotta get things done.
Yeah.